So this is some real stuff here. Didn't have snow for about a week, and it was so windy in that time, the majority of time, that I could not ride. And now here we go. It's snow again. Snow isn't a problem in and of itself. It's the fact that it makes mud. So if it was like snowy and then it stayed and then the ground froze, then it'd be fine. But it's this continual thawing, unthawing, muddy. That's the problem, is mud, not snow in and of itself. Or not even cold. It's the mud that's a biking problem.
Hell yeah! We've had 80-kilometer winds for the past, 16 hours, approximately. And, there you go. It's not that cold. It's like -7, but these winds, oh shit. That dude ended up in the ditch. So that's cool. So yeah, a little bit of snow blind, just a little. All that snow coming from the ditch there, onto the highway. So, yep. I forget what I was gonna say. Oh yeah, I had 2 inches thick snow on my windshield that I had to chip away at. Because yeah, it just with the combination of the wind, and it snowed a bunch yesterday, and it, again, not super cold, but it's just the wind has hardened it all up. And anyway, this is fun. Well, rough go. I'm tired. I'm in the studio. It is Wednesday. My dudes. I'm really thrown off this week. So Monday we had a snow day. There was a storm on Sunday, and they felt the buses couldn't run on the highways efficiently to get students to school. So we had a snow day Monday, both school districts that I sub for. So, alright, extra long weekend, sounds good. I worked Tuesday. I'm booked for Thursday, Friday. Remembrance Day is today, so we didn't have school today. Extra long weekend was fine, because it's going back into school, I got 4 days left, but then it's Remembrance Day, which I knew about. It wasn't a surprise like the snow day, but it still just threw me off, because it was oh cool, I get a day off tomorrow. I'm not complaining, other than the money that I'm missing out on, because it's not like I get paid for that. But it just feels super awkward, because I'm oh, it feels like the weekend already. I had a day off, and then I went to work, and now I've got another day off, and it feels oh, yeah, I can just, it's the weekend. I don't know why, but it just feels like the weekend, and it's not. And I've got to get my butt in gear for tomorrow and make sure I, get all my ducks in a row, if that's the saying, I don't even know, and get ready for work. In the studio today, just listening to some Black Sabbath. I've always thought that's one of the sickest band names there are. Black Sabbath. What a sick name. I'm just kind of going through the discography when I feel like it, because I'm do I even like Black Sabbath? I had the album Paranoid when I was in my teens, because someone gave it to me, and I listened to it, but very little, and I haven't revisited it a lot since then, which is a long time. And so I thought, hey, why not get the whole discography? That's one thing that I did download. That's the only thing I've downloaded this whole year, I think. And so I did that, and I listened to the first album while I was painting here, and not really into it. Paranoid, I'm 3 songs in, and I'm oh yeah, I remember these songs, and I still like them, and I somewhat appreciate them more now than I did then, so that's a good sign. And I'm just kind of deleting, I'll just delete the albums as I go that I'm not into, or the songs, or whatever. Yeah, other thing. There's what's the name? There is, okay, so the company, Golden Artist Colors, is the company that I go with for the acrylics that I buy. Yeah, here it is. Paint Stories with Mark Golden. So, I started listening to this podcast called Paint Stories with Mark Golden. I was oh, this is going to be sick. They're going to have this art podcast. It's going to be
crazy and sweet. And it's kind of really low budget, considering that this is like a crazy, top-tier, amazing company. You think that they would have a little more budget in their podcast or maybe a little more know-how and whatever else, but no, it's not that good in the quality yet. He's only been doing it a couple months now, and about once a week. He took a week off, so at the very beginning he was just having these paint stories talking about how the history of the company, and he mentioned, what was it now? His uncle, I think it was his uncle, it changed his last name to Bukur. And I don't know where I inherited this, but at some point in my life, I inherited this highest grade artist pigment ground and specially formulated acrylic resin permanent fast drying. Bukur Artist Colors Inc., New York. Well, this is about 40 years old. I think. Because I looked up. The thing is that I've acquired this, like I said, at some point, inherited it from somewhere. I don't know if it was the U of S, I don't remember. But now that I have some history with this podcast, I was like, oh, wait a second, what? This is like golden acrylics before golden acrylics, and they were making oil paints and stuff then. And it was like, this is crazy. And I was like, I have this thing? Because I was using it today, and I was like, wait a second, Bukur, or I don't know how to pronounce it. It was a fake name anyway, it wasn't his real name. He changed his name to sound French just because, and then named the company after that, or him. So, yeah, that's nuts. But I looked up, and it looked like Golden started in 1980 after he like retired and kind of handed off the company, and they rebranded and stuff, and used their real last name. And it's just like, this is 40 years old, and I can still use it? This is crazy. So I was using it today, and I got this little piece done here. I'm pretty happy with it so far. I think it's done. I took a picture of it. We'll let it fully dry. I'll come back to the studio another day and see if I still like it. Again, trying to work with some smaller pieces. Then again, I got this big guy that I put some texture on that I still need to change. I'm not too happy with this. I was originally, and I'm not anymore. But yeah, so I'm just trying to, spread myself a little bit, work on some smaller things, which is a challenge for me. And this was a portrait of, I don't remember his name, but it was from my MK Ultra exhibition, and now I'm painting over it. I gessoed over a bunch of those pieces. There's only one that I kept, and it was the Charlie Manson portrait. The rest I gessoed over, and now I'm painting over them. So, yeah, it took some resolving and took some time, and it wasn't quick, and I think I got it to a place where I really enjoy it. Again, we'll see what it looks like when it dries. Anyway, that's what I'm up to today. Speaking of podcasts, I wanted to bring this up, but I forgot what it was. I knew I was going to segue into something, into art ballad podcast that I do with Randy, but I don't remember what I was going to segue into it. With something. I don't know, but you should check it out. It's a good time. I have a lot of fun, generally, like, for the most part, doing it with Randy. It's, like, a lot of laughs, a lot of fun. We get together and have some time to chat about art things, and we played a game of This or That last time, which is the first time we've done that, and it was really fun. So, I don't remember what I was going to say about it. There was something more specific, but, oh well. So, this fell off my car this morning. More was ripped off. I'm guessing it was hanging all day. I don't know how many days, but I heard something dragging in front this morning and was like, okay, well, I'm gonna have to check that out today. And then when I pulled into school to work, I got out of my car and went to the back here to get my backpack, and then I saw it lying in the middle of the road. So, cool beans. I just had a realization as to why I am reading so much right now. And specifically reading books so much and not reading magazines as much. I've talked before about reading being a form of escapism, obviously a healthy kind, or at least I think healthy, as long as you're fulfilling all your responsibilities and, not
moving backwards in your life and you use your time to cope and whatever. I don't know, reading is a hobby, I guess. Can it be a hobby? I don't even know what a hobby is anymore, because you're not really creating anything. Anyway, I don't know. Reading is a pastime, something to do for fun, entertainment, and a coping mechanism for me. I read a lot in high school, and it was definitely a form of escapism. And I read magazines then too, but I definitely read novels, and I think I was pretty 50-50, if not. I didn't have as many magazines back then to read, so I would go through them a lot quicker. And I've talked about this somewhat before, but only now had this realization of like, man, I just really can't get enough of reading books right now, and I can't seem to get my head in the game to read magazines. And I have so many magazines to catch up on, and if I read magazines as much as I've been reading books in the past couple months, I think I'd be caught up on all my magazines, because I'm subscribed to many, and years ago got behind, and in every magazine that I read, I am behind by a handful of issues at least, in some cases more. And I realized, like, I slowed down reading after high school in general. Maybe because I didn't need it as much, because I had moved out and a lot of my stressors were gone. I wasn't in high school anymore, so that stressor is gone. But also, I started working full-time. I had a way more of a social life and wasn't at home very much. And, there's just a lot of other things to do, so I didn't give myself as much time to read as part of it. And then, in university, I'm reading, but I'm reading for school. And I did not, again, give myself as much time to use reading as a coping mechanism or to use reading for entertainment. I was doing so much creating in university with bands, with art, that I just had less time as well, and those things were a coping mechanism. And now, I don't make art that much. My job is stressful, whatever. I'm under a lot of stress and have a lot of anxiety and need to do something to cope. And also want to do something for entertainment and whatever. And I think this is why I am reading books so much more, because they have these magazines, and magazines don't do the same thing. They don't fill an escapism or a coping mechanism requirement as much, because a lot of these articles, other than the New Yorker, which has crazy long articles, but a lot of these articles are short, and they're tidbits, and I like them, and there's like interviews, and they can be informative, and they can inspire me, and do all these great things, but they don't really give me a sense of escapism, and that is what I feel I need right now a lot. And that's why I'm so like head first into reading books and can't get enough of books. And I used to just try to force myself, like, hey, you're done with a book, for the next week don't read a book and just focus on magazines and get caught up. And because it stresses me out how behind I am on magazines, and I would like to experience all those other things that magazines give me, and I'm not doing it. And that is the realization I just found out on why. I have more reading realizations, but I'm going to save those for later. I want to write about them as well, but something I realized like a couple weeks ago to do with reading. Anyway, I'm going to outro this right now, because why not? I got time. Anyway, yeah, that's it. I don't really remember what the heck else I vlogged about. I think I vlogged a little bit about a painting, and don't really remember. I was going to go to the studio today and just didn't have the time. I was going to go today just to check up on that painting. If it's finished, then give it a finish. And I don't remember what else I vlogged about this week. There is a conversation, though. And I had a conversation about balancing order and chaos and the zone of proximal development. So, that was kind of cool. I enjoyed talking about it, and that's up there. And that's it. We'll see you on another time.